Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. This is Raja Umar on my channel RU Speaks, and we are discussing the geography, the Pakistan Studies component 2 these days, and the unit that is under discussion is the forests in Pakistan. In the last lesson, we talked about the forest types, their location, and we talked about certain adaptations that where they are and what are the types of the forest that which type of forests are grown in which areas. And we also discussed the certain factors which are responsible for the growth of certain forests in different regions of Pakistan. Now we are talking about a bit of refresher to take along with the mangrove forest, their adaptations to be that they are surviving over there in the salty water, and then we are going to talk about that what are the advantages of those forests, the mangrove forest over there for Pakistan, and then we will move forward towards the topic of deforestation. That is really very important for us. So moving on, the topic here we have, that is the mangrove forest. This is what we were discussing in the last lesson, that how do mangrove forests survive in salt water. Mangroves have special features which protect them from salt. Some mangroves are able to filter most of the salts out as they take water in through their roots. It means that when the water starts entering the plant body through roots, in the roots there are certain filters installed over here which prevent the entrance of salt particles into the plant body through the roots. So that is the one adaptation. Some concentrate extra salts into the old leaves. If certain salts they enter into the plant body somehow, they are transported to the older leaves of the tree, and those excessive salts are stored over there in those leaves, and when those older leaves they shed off, the salts are definitely, obviously, they leave the plant body, and some salts are able to be excreted through the pores of the plant body, what we call through the process of evapotranspiration system, and they just get evaporated along with the water particles from the plant body. So, and there are certain special glands over there to excrete those salts out of the plant body. So, mangroves can also grow in fresh water, but they have almost no competition in salt water because so few plants can grow over there. So, it means that the majority of the mangrove species they grow in the salty water. So now, so as I had shown you this particular picture of the mangrove forest over here, that they have grown in water and their roots are purely dipped in that water. Now there are certain advantages of mangrove forest. Refuge. Trees, climbing crabs and sea snails climb up their aerial roots at high tide to avoid aquatic predators. The roots provide a surface for all kinds of creatures from algae or shellfish, and the tangle of roots provide hiding places for young fishes and shrimps from larger predators. As it happens that the hatching process is done over there in the roots of the mangroves, and though after the hatching, those baby fish they are protected by those roots, and those baby fish they hide themselves over there in the roots of the mangrove forest, and that's why they are not eaten up by the bigger fish. So their branches provide shelter for creatures from proboscis monkeys and nesting sites for large herons to crevices for insects and other tiny creatures. So it means that they are a major factor leading to refuge, that they provide protection to many of the creatures over there in their roots and on their branches and under the leaves. So further, food. While on the trees, leaves are eaten by all kinds of creatures. Those leaves they are food of many of the animals. Monkeys snack on the shoots and leaves. Small insects nibble on them. Fallen leaves are an important source of nutrient both within the mangrove habitat and when it is flushes out to the coral reefs. The leaves are rapidly broken up by the crabs and other small creatures and further broken down by microorganisms into the useful minerals, and they increase the nutrient content in the water. So there are even tiny moths, larvae that feed on pneumatophores. So it means that all these are source of food for the creatures provided by the mangrove species. So natural water filter. Underwater, a huge number of filter feeders are fastened on the tangle of roots, um, brancles, sponges, shellfish. These filter feeders are to clean the water and nutrients and silt. As a result, clean water washes out into the sea, allowing the coral reef ecosystem to flourish. So it means that these mangrove forests are playing their role as filters, that the water of the river uh, enters into the sea after passing through the mangroves. So many of the, you can say, the impurities, they are filtered out over there and purely clean water reaches out the sea. Stabilize the coast and river banks. Their roots prevent mud and sand from being washed away with the tide and river currents. Mangrove trees also slowly regenerate the soil by penetrating and erecting it. Other creatures such as crabs and mud lobsters also help in. As the mud builds up and soil conditions improve, other plants can take root. Mangrove trees also reduce the damage from the violent storms. So it means that they protect the coastal areas from the harmful effects of the tropical cyclones and storms. So now we have the topic of deforestation with us. What is meant by deforestation? Deforestation is the removal of a forest or stand of trees where the land is thereafter converted to a non-forest use. Non-forest use means that in many of the areas, very especially in the mountainous regions, people cut down the trees to make land available for agriculture, as they want to grow certain crops and they lack land. For the sake of the land availability, they cut down the trees. Construction of dams in those areas and other infrastructure like hoteling and tourism. Hotels and roads, and in urban areas what we call the urbanization, housing societies, further living areas available for the sake of people. So trees are cut down in those areas to make that land available for the people to live in. So examples of deforestation include conversion of forest land to farms, ranches, or urban use. So this is what I have explained to you people. What are the, as I have already explained and I have made the thumbnail of this particular video is just like that 3C formula, again, as it is the issue, and whenever we discuss any of the issues, we are supposed to find out the causes, consequences, and control of that issue. So first of all, talking about the causes of deforestation, that why deforestation is being done. So large forest tracts have to be removed to grow crops. I mean, as I told you, that using for agriculture, in order to construct dams and barrages. I already explained that in the northern areas, the trees are cut down to make certain dams and barrages, so that to make the availability of water. But at one side, we are able to provide water to the fields. On the other hand, we are losing forests because of the deforestation, as in the case of the construction of those dams and barrages. So millions of hectares of the land was cleared to provide irrigational facilities to the agricultural land to meet the food requirement for the growing population. So that is, I mean, the development of the point, that why it was done. I mean that why do we need land for the sake of agriculture? Because of the growing population, we need to grow more and more crops, and for the sake of the growth of the crops, we need to be having the sufficient water availability. For the sake of availing the water availability, we are supposed to construct dams and barrages. So this is all linked up with one another to reach out that position. So as urbanization increases, deforestation is caused to urbanize the area. It is done to provide living facilities to the migrating population from rural to urban areas, what we call the rural-urban migration. Growth of cities converts forest areas into the residential colonies. So we have seen, particularly if we talk about Rawalpindi, Islamabad, in its surroundings, it is said that there are more than 800 housing societies which have established themselves over there in those areas for the sake of providing the better housing and living facilities for the people. So definitely in all those areas there might be a sort of massive deforestation done to make that land clear for the sake of making those housing societies. The forest areas have to be cut down to make roads, for providing smooth and better transportation facilities, for moving industrial and agricultural products to the markets. So this is known as the development of the infrastructure, as I already explained in the previous slide. So that is again a need that, and for the sake of the development of any of the country, it is must that there should be the developed infrastructure and transport facilities available. So the roads and the railway networks, they are constructed, and in the process mass level of deforestation is done. So wood is consumed in large quantities in the industries as it is used for constructional purposes as well. Therefore forests are heavily cut down to meet the requirements of the industries. As we know that Pakistan is having a really very well established sports goods industry, and sports goods are being made over here in Pakistan, very especially the Sialkot region. To meet the needs of the sports goods industry, the forests are being cut down. In the same way, construction industry and furniture industry, they do need those forests to be cut down to be used, but this mass level deforestation is becoming a sort of disaster for Pakistan. Overgrazing of land by cattle, goat and sheep also converted the forested area into the desert. So the overgrazing is another really very important factor that leads to the issue of deforestation over here in Pakistan. So here you can see in this picture that how the deforestation is being done, and whole of this land you can see is deforested and there are no more trees available in this larger area, and you can say that now the people might be eyeing on the surrounding trees, these ones, to cut down and to you can say meet their needs, whether for the sake of the industrial use or for the sake of the constructional purposes or for furniture industry or even for sports goods or even for fuel wood. As we know that in many of the areas of Pakistan, very especially the mountains, the people do not have the natural gas supply over there, so they cut down the trees to meet their fuel requirements. So this might be the another factor that this larger area is deforested now. A cause of deforestation, here you can see a bridge is being made somewhere, and a sort of canal construction and bridges over there, and you can see that this whole of the land is deforested and no trees are available in this whole of the land. So it means that, and you can see in the background there are certain forests available. They might be available over here, but just because of the development of this bridge or canal, the deforestation is done. So this is one really very important factor. Now talking about the consequences, the effects of deforestation, the second C of 3C formula, that deforestation exposes the soil to forces of wind and water, leading to soil erosion. The soil gets eroded. So point number one is soil erosion is the one really very drastic impact or effect of deforestation. So soil erosion. This makes whenever the top layer of the soil is eroded, what we left with, that is the infertile coarse sand, which is not favorable for the sake of growth of crops, and this leads to the desertification, ultimately that the whole of the land converts into a desert. So with heavy rainfall, the water rushes down the mountains carrying with its large quantities of silt and limestone. With no trees to hold the soil together and slow down the water flow, the surface runoff may cause heavy floods. So, point number two, whenever there are no trees in the way of water and there is the greater surface runoff, there would be larger damage of floods we may experience. So, cutting of trees disturbs the natural environment, the natural habitat is destroyed, which results in the extinction of number of variable species, and the wildlife also gets disturbed. So the plant species and the animal species, they both get affected because of the impacts of deforestation, as there is a greater disturbance in the natural environment and the destruction to the habitat. With less vegetation, there is less evapotranspiration. Natural fact is that whenever there are more trees, there will be more absorption of the water vapors, and there will be more evapotranspiration, and there will be more water vapors available in the air that might lead to frequent rainfalls, and that would be leading to the better environment and pleasant environment in our surroundings. But what happens that whenever there are no trees, it means that the evapotranspiration decreases to a greater extent. So it means that because of the less vegetation, there is less evapotranspiration, and that would lead to the climate change, and there would be very less rainfall, which might result in the lower crop yield, less water in our dams, barrages and canals, leading to less water supply to the fields, leading to decline in the agricultural production, leading to the lack of food, and you can say that there would be the food insecurity, and there would be a greater burden on the imports, that government would have to spend a lot of money to import those food items to meet the needs of the huge population of Pakistan, leading to a greater burden on the foreign exchange, and that might be leading to a greater blow to the economy of Pakistan. How can we stop deforestation? Now we are talking about the third C, that is the solution to the problem, the control. Online activities, chat rooms to help cause against deforestation. So it means that this is awareness campaigns through social media, and again media awareness. The TV and radio should be playing their role in increasing the impacts of the more and more forests would be better for the people. Slow down logging industry, the wood cutting industry, the industry which is using timber and wood, those industries should be switching to the other forms of synthetic sort of raw material to be used in their industries rather than the pure wood. So change law offers to clear, get land, chat rooms talk about what they can do together to slow down the logging industry by protecting the main areas. More than 1,000 protesters agree to it. So this is a sort of survey given over here, that because of that campaign, more than 1,000 people they got engaged over there. Then reduce wasteful land use practices. So solution to deforestation, wasteful land use practices. So we must be using those lands which are really deforested, and should be launching the afforestation campaigns over there, so that the sufficient forest should be available for us. Improve already developed lands, and should not be clearing up the forested areas. Those wastelands where there are no forests, or it is already rugged or deserted, those lands should be used for industrialization and for the sake of developing the settlements like urbanization. So businesses and corporations have to be more aware of the effects that deforestation causes, and they have to take little initiatives to prevent it from increasing. So governments have to make citizens aware of the issue. Again, awareness campaigns, the majority of the factors, they are related to the awareness, so that people should be aware that how important the trees are for them. So each person can plant trees once in a while to maintain the ecosystem. So again, afforestation. And it is the individual's responsibility to plant those trees, and no one can convince us, and it is not the responsibility of the government or any organization to convince us to plant trees. We should feel our responsibility by ourselves, that these, how important these plants are for us, and we are supposed to plant as many trees as we can in our lives. So groups can be formed to decrease deforestation. Plantation weeks in Pakistan, and we have the spring campaign, and we have the monsoon campaign in July. So we have two campaigns of plantation over in Pakistan, but it is needed that those campaigns should be done really religiously, so that the impact of those transplantation or plantation campaigns should come up with in the real sense. So there are certain questions related to using the image, explain the causes of deforestation in Pakistan. So there can be a question keeping in view this diagram, and we have discussed the causes. Describe the characteristics of the alpine forest in Pakistan. By looking at this picture, students are supposed to explain that what are the characteristics of these one: tall, broad-leaved, slopy branches to prevent soil accumulation, and they have the they are like this, and they have the spreaded roots underneath. If this is the land, spreaded roots to have the stronger hold of the soil, as there are very strong winds over there in the alpine regions. So spreaded roots are over there to have the stronger hold. So this is how all the characteristics you can see, whatever you see. And mostly this is a 5 marks question given over here, but you will never get this question of 5 marks, just of 3 marks. So you are supposed to give 3 adaptations. Number 1, they grow tall to reach out the maximum sunlight, and they have the spreaded roots over here to have the stronger hold. They have the slopy branches to prevent soil accumulation over there. So just 2-3 are enough for this 2-3 marks question. Conifers. Describe the features of conifers forest. So again, they are tall. They are having the thick bark, rough bark, so that to prevent the impact of the wind erosion. And again, they have the slopy branches, and they grow tall to reach out the sunlight, and they have closed canopy. They grow really very thick with one another. They get closer to each other. Riverine forest. What are the main characteristics of riverine or bela forest? In which part of the Pakistan they are found? Riverine forests are grown alongside the rivers, and there is one very important question we have seen in the past, that what is the difference between vegetation and plantation? So vegetation is naturally grown, plantation is human grown. Vegetation is of different species, plantation is of same species, same size of the plant, I mean height, and distance, same distance plant to plant, and as I told you, same species, same sorts of plants are grown in one area alongside the rivers, or in parks, or alongside the railway track, or elsewhere, or even in some area just like Changamanga, where the plants are grown. Most of the time they are grown of the same species, same type. So that is the plantation. So, but vegetation, you may be seeing it on the mountains, and might be having the different height of different plants. Species might be the same one, but can be different as well, and they grow thickly. There is no proper pattern that there should be. It is not necessary that there should be the proper distance between the plants. So that is what we call the vegetation. So you may be getting this question, that difference between the vegetation and plantation. So here we have the irrigated plantation, Changamanga and the Chichavatni, Saiwal. They are grown like this. You can see that the distance are almost same between each plant, and same species is grown over here. You can see same sort of plants are visible, and they are having the same distance between them, same height almost. So mangrove forest. Using the photograph, explain how mangroves survive in salt water, and we have just explained that what sort of adaptations are there. Filters in the roots, excessive salts are stored in the older leaves, and excretion are through the process of evapotranspiration from the leaves. So this is how they are able to get rid of those excessive salts. So this is how our whole of the lesson was for today. And do not forget to subscribe, like, watch, share and comment on my channel. And we are done with the unit of forest. In the next lesson, inshallah, we will talk about the topics related to the fishing industry of Pakistan. Till then, thank you so much. Allah Hafiz.